Hey, Frankie, welcome back to the channel.
Good to be back. I missed you last week.
I missed you too. So, before we jump into the North Wilkesboro recap, I have to talk to you about you wrapped up the filming of Malcolm in the Middle reboot, and there was a specific post on Twitter or on X on Friday that I saw where you talked about how much you enjoyed it. You even said how you wished it could go on forever and how the actor label finally fits you. So tell me what you meant by that post.
You know, for so long, I mean, even when I was on Malcolm in the Middle 20 years ago, whatever, 25 years ago, I always felt like an outsider for some reason in the entertainment business. As weird as that sounds, I felt like I was, I don't know, like just lucky to be there, and I never fully felt like that was my calling, if that makes sense. Um, Obviously going back into the show now, getting to be with the crew, getting to be with the cast that I spent 7 years with, 151 episodes. I was really looking forward to that.
Mhm.
What I wasn't expecting was how fun it was. You know what I mean? Like, I don't remember being on a set, and not that I didn't enjoy it, because I always enjoyed it,
Mhm.
but I just had an absolute blast, even with the crazy schedule that I had to, keep obviously with the racing and going back and forth. And it was just I felt so kind of natural playing Malcolm again. Like it just was so easy to kind of jump back into that world.
Right.
But as an adult, I got to play around with it more, right? I didn't just show up and say the words. Like I really kind of had some ideas and was willing to like try them, and hearing like the other cast and the crew kind of laughing or saying, "Whoa, I wasn't expecting this scene to turn into that." Like it was really fun, and as a race car driver now, like meaning like that's my focus, right? And it's not unfortunate that I got to do it. Like our results the last couple of weeks might make it look like it was hard, right, to do both, but they had nothing to do with each other. The results on track weren't bad because I was preoccupied filming Malcolm. It wasn't that at all. It was a completely separation from them. But um, it's easy for me to kind of go, uh, I don't want to admit that I had a good time, or I don't want to admit that, I enjoyed being an actor. I really, really loved it. I can't say anything different than the fact that it was an amazing experience, and I was thrilled that we got the opportunity to do it. And, it's also knowing that it is just 4 episodes, it's basically a 2-hour movie, and that's it, right? Um, cool that we got that like one last hurrah, all together. And I think we all enjoyed it way more than we ever could have imagined.
That's great. I mean, I'm glad to hear it. Like I told you recently, I've been watching. We just finished season two, so
Oh, nice.
it's interesting seeing the backdrop of what you did then and who you are now, and then
Yeah.
blending in the whole race car driver. It's a really interesting dynamic. So I'm happy that you had a good time. I do have to follow up. One thing that you said in the post was, I'm really hopeful to do more of this in the future. So can you see yourself? I know you're a race car driver. That's what we talk about on the race recaps,
Yeah.
but can you see yourself doing more acting in the future?
Yeah. I think, if you look at my IMDb page from the last, 20 years, a lot of people think that like I completely stepped away from the business, or like I left the business. I've always kind of been working, doing movies and doing things here and there and guest appearances on shows. Like really every year I've worked as an actor. I've just never fully pursued it, if that makes sense. Since the
Right.
show ended, I've never said, "Hey, I want to be an actor and let me see where that takes me." It's been kind of like, oh, my schedule, whatever I'm doing allows. I got offered this thing and it works out. Yeah, I'll do it. It'd be fun. And I've always enjoyed it. Like I've enjoyed myself, but I never fully committed to saying, like, that's where I'm supposed to be. And
Right.
that wasn't me. That post wasn't me saying that, right? I think I'm more open in the future, whether it be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, into accepting the fact that, like, I'm an actor. Like I've never fully accepted that label, as weird as it sounds, because that's what everyone knows me as, right?
Sure.
I did it my whole life, but I kind of felt like it was just another thing I did on the list of many things that I did, where I'm more proud to wear that label now, as weird as that sounds. I don't know how to explain it. It was like a realization I had of like, man, like that I was really, really comfortable. I had such a great time. It was super fun. I liked being creative. I liked coming up with ideas. I liked working on my lines and having the pressure and it all also at the same time felt unbelievably easy. And and maybe that comes from the fact that like I've been trying to do things that are harder for me, right? For the last couple of years, I've been focused on racing, or even when I was in a band or business. Like those are all things that like you put in so much work and you don't always have success in it. It always doesn't. It's not just fun. It's not just easy. And maybe that was a little bit of a too of going like, man, like it's really a great gig when you get the opportunity to be an actor, right? Like, I'm not going to shy away from it. Is kind of what I'm saying for sure in the future.
Okay. So let's shift gears. Let's jump forward into North Wilkesboro. And so I have to ask, qualifying gets canceled. You're racing on the track. You are second to roll out. So I know that the other teams were hesitant because there was no rubber on the track. So just kind of talk to me about the philosophy of the 33 team of getting out there second on the track.
To be honest, that wasn't our philosophy at all. Like we literally said before practice that we were going to wait 10, 15 minutes until people went out there. And, there was so much rain. We knew the track was going to be green, but we also knew we didn't want to run the whole practice session. With qualifying being canceled and it being so close to the race, we didn't want to risk the truck or having to scramble to a backup truck or whatever it is in case anything happened in the practice. So like go out there, feel it out. I had run the sim the day before, like just kind of see if it was similar, kind of feel it out, and then and then come in. So when nobody was going, we were kind of like, hey, let's just go. We'll make sure that nothing's rubbing, just make sure we're in a decent spot. And then at that point, people will probably come out, we'll make a change, and then we'll go out and run a few laps and we'll be done. So I just kind of ran laps, not expecting there to be a lot of grip, and there really wasn't. You know what I mean? Like, so we weren't trying to make time. We were trying to just kind of feel out the truck, just get to know the visuals, try a few different lines, just to kind of get comfortable to where when more trucks did go out there and put rubber down, we'd be ready to go. Granted, we ended up coming in the pit lane, and we made a quick adjustment we wanted to do. And I was going to go out and basically run 5 laps and try to put in a time at that point. Sure, tires would have been worn a little bit because we ran a few laps, before, but there wasn't much fall off at Wilkesboro. And with like the learning curve of just figuring it out, we knew we'd still put in a decent time. So I leave the pit lane and I'm going in to start my first time lap. And Matt Crafton was actually right behind me. And we're going into turn 1, and he literally drove into the back of us. Drove into the back of us. And happened to like just peel the sheet metal off the left rear, quarter panel. So it's like, all right, come in, we're done. You know what I mean? It's exactly what we didn't want to happen, is to like have to fix a truck, right? But wasn't bad. Could have been a lot worse. I'm not quite sure what happened there. You know what I mean? Like I was literally just coming up to speed, and I don't know, maybe I broke a car length earlier than he was expecting, but I'm still really new there, right? I'm trying to figure it out. And that's the fine line of like, I don't know. Like if I went to the inside to give him the outside, he probably would have been mad at me for not staying on my line. Like, I don't know where I'm supposed to be on the track, to be honest. Like as crazy as that sounds. And
Sure.
It was just unfortunate because we were only planning on doing 5 more laps. So like it was unfair because I didn't really get to truly put in a lap to know where we stood. Granted, we knew where we were starting. Either way, and we knew the race is 250 laps is a long time. So we knew we could get it fixed up and we'd be fine for the race. But like, I'm so like, I get frustrated like seeing my name, towards the bottom, because that's one thing I've always said that I love about racing is it's not subjective, right? You can look at it and see kind of where you stand. But
Right.
there I was like, well, I don't really know where I stand because I easily could have done a 19 flat or a 18, whatever, right? I could have done a better lap. And if we had done that, you go, okay, that would have put us 19th, which that feels a lot better, you know what I mean? Than, but it was what it was. And we were just ready to get ready for the race. And yeah, so unfortunate event again.
Yeah, no. So I heard Will, and he was clearly not happy with what happened. And he said there was no reason for him to get that close to you guys. So fast forward to the actual race. And before the race, Will says to you, what is the song for the race? And so I have to ask, how do you choose the song of the race? Is it something that just pops in your head? Because this week it was I Want It That Way, and I had to look it up. I wasn't sure if it was NSYNC or the Backstreet Boys by the Backstreet Boys. So what prompts this song for song selection? Where does it just is it just random,
To
or
be
how do
honest,
you choose it?
he asked what the song of the week was, and that's what popped in my mind in that moment.
Okay.
I don't pre-think it, but like that's really kind of like we have a great relationship like that. And I'm in a happy, good mood going into the race, right? To where like I'm ready to sing. Like I felt good. Like I was ready to go, ready to attack, like felt comfortable, wasn't nervous, and that's kind of, you know, we want to be light like that. Whenever I've started races where like I'm in that really intense, like maybe nervous or, anxious to where I can't even talk on the radio, like I don't know, I don't feel like those are my best races. Granted, maybe what I'm doing of being light on the radio isn't working. Because we have not had a result in the past, what, 6 or 7 races. So anyway, yeah, no, I sang the song and you know, I love my guys on the team. I really do, and if it can put a smile on their face, like I'm willing.
Right. Okay, so then we start the race, and I can't remember the exact lap where you got lapped, but I mean,
Yep.
do you start having PTSD and flashbacks to, I can't even remember, was it Martinsville or Bristol, where you had the incident
Crystal.
with Ty Majeski, and do you
Yeah.
think about that, or is it just like focus forward, just get through it, listen to your
No,
spotter and stay out of the way?
we knew here it'd be tough to stay on the lead lap just because, if you're 4/10 of a second off, which is
Right.
so little time, but like 4/10 with an 18-second lap, it doesn't take that long to get caught, especially when you're starting in the back, right? You're already starting half a lap behind. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, so we knew if, we were on only one lap down to end the stage, we had a chance of getting it back. You know what I mean?
Right.
So no, I wasn't when it happened, I couldn't believe how fast they were because I thought we were being pretty aggressive. Like I was racing with people the whole time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the people in my group. It was pretty surprising because I didn't let them by. Like I thought I was being pretty aggressive, unlike in the past where like once I get caught, I kind of lay over to not get involved in the race. But I realized like I still have a race to do too. You know what I mean? So like just because they're lapping me doesn't mean like I lay over and lose a second or 2 seconds a lap, right? I need to keep, and that's unfortunately what I did in Bristol, right? I put myself in a bad position because I start going like, let me just get out of their way and not affect them. And I'm like, no, they need to get around me, right? I'm
Right.
not going to block them, but I'm going to keep going pretty hard. So that's something that I've learned over the last couple of races of how to get lapped. You know what I mean? And still continue to fight my race. I'm still battling for position because we're all like that back half or back 10 cars is getting lapped too, right? So
Right.
we still got to keep fighting and try to be the lucky dog when the caution does come out or the end of the stage to get back on the lead lap. And that's really what our focus was. But no, I didn't have any feelings of like, man, I'm mad I got lapped. Like, no, I knew it was going to be tough there for sure, to stay on the lead lap.
Okay, so you had a fast lap on lap 36, and then shortly thereafter on your radio, I was listening, and there was contact with the 19 of Daniel Hemric. His
Mhm.
spotter apparently wasn't happy. So, do you remember that incident and what happened?
Was that early in the race? I thought there was an incident with the 19, but it was later in the race,
Well, it
maybe. I'm
might have
not
been
entirely sure.
later. Yeah, but I
Yeah.
just have in my notes your fast lap. You had a fast lap on 36. I didn't have a specific lap that this happened, but I
Hmm.
just have because obviously you know what we're going to talk about next. But I wanted to
Yeah.
mention the Hemric. So what happened there with a 19 truck?
Um, I heard after the 19 was mad at me for not laying over, right? Because I'm a lap down, or I thought it was later to where we were multiple laps down because of the penalty we'd gotten. But like at that point, I was like, nah, I'm not going to get pushed around. Sure, I'm laps down, but like, you're Daniel Hemric. You should easily be able to get by me if I'm a lapped car, right? Granted, it was hard to pass there, but so I was using it as like opportunity to learn how to continue to be aggressive, right? And fight, right? They were really trying to push me all over the place, and I was keeping my foot in it. And look, if you get by me, great. If you don't, sorry.
Right.
But Hemric, he had supposedly there were like two guys in front of him that were fighting like side by side. So I went to the inside to give them the outside to race for position. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Then he's the next lap car, but I went back to being on my line, which I was running high in 1 and 2, and then middle of 3 and 4. That was where I was comfortable. Everyone could either figure out how to get by me on the inside or on the outside of 3 and 4, and nobody else seemed to have an issue with it. But I think because we were still running pretty competitive lap times at that time when the 19. So I think this was later in the race. So he ended up coming to my outside and kind of trying to do a slide job, but like literally kind of basically drove into my door to put me in the wall. I think as like a get out of the way. I don't know, but I'm not going to get pushed around. You know what I mean? I was also pretty angry at that stage of the race because of what did happen, which I now have answers from NASCAR and all that of what happened or what didn't happen. And so like I said, I'm going to use it as opportunity, as if I'm on that lead lap racing them for position. You know what I mean? Because I don't get I haven't had a lot of opportunities to race side by side, door to door. I mean, I have more this year than last year, but I'm using it as opportunity to learn. I don't care what lap I'm on or what lap they're on. If they're better than me, they can get by me for sure. But we had the issue with Hemric in Atlanta. He wrecked us, when we were in 9th or 10th, whatever it was. And I don't know, I know I haven't earned respect in the series. I don't expect them to respect me because we haven't had the results. We haven't, we've had some good speed and good races where I seem to race everybody clean, but nobody kind of returns the favor. But I think that's just NASCAR in general. I'm starting to learn that like there's no nice guys out there, right? You can't be a nice guy. You just gotta do your thing and race. So that's what I did.
All right. So let's jump forward to the restart. So there's a caution. I don't even remember what it was for, but there's a moment where there's confusion by your team. They don't know why you have to fall back. And your response is whatever the rules are, that's what it needs to be. And then they say, Pedro says he's going to talk with the officials. Will saying that they're tapping him on the shoulder. And obviously you're pissed. And so you go on a really long rant, and understandably so. I want you to tell me what you learned from NASCAR afterward, but let me know kind of what was going through your mind, because obviously you're emotional, you're pissed off because of this really inexplicable penalty. So just kind of walk me through what happened.
Well, there was two issues, right? So that caution comes out with maybe there was 20 to go, I think, in the stage, maybe around lap 50. So there'd be after, the cleanup and everything, 12, maybe 10 laps. I can't remember what it was, maybe 10 laps to the stage end.
Right.
So most everybody pit, but we decided, because I was running my fastest laps towards the end of that run, not too far, like, or really close, like pretty consistent lap times. We didn't think tires was worth it at that point, but we could put ourselves into the position to be the lucky dog, right? Because all the other trucks that were a lap down pit. So it cycled us to the front of the trucks that were one lap down.
Sure.
So I got to fight for 10 laps, whatever it is, to get to the end of the stage and keep my position to where we can get the lucky dog. So we make this strategic call, right? We make the call thinking like, that's the best thing. Lap times aren't that far off. They're going to be a lot further behind us. There's a lot of trucks in between us, right? Mm-hmm. Before the next one lap car. I don't know how many cars were on the one lap down, maybe 7 or 8, but we would have been in front of it at that point. Do you know how many there were?
No, there were, but I knew there were multiple cars in the same position as you were. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we make that strategic call and we get to go to the choose, and Will, my spotter, he gets tapped on the shoulder by NASCAR saying that we have to fall to the rear. Now, we've chosen, when we've like cycled to the front, when we're on old tires type of situation. We've chosen to go, you know what? We're not going to put ourselves in this position to be like, third in line and get run over by guys that have new tires and they're going to try to push us out of the race, out of the way. Like, we'll fall to the back. It's fine. You know what I mean? It's not going to affect our race, from where we were. We've chosen to do that. But I've never been told that we had to wait to let the field go by before the choose. So I was really confused and I was kind of like, wait, I don't understand. Now, I understand like even falling to the back of the lead lap cars, right? To where then we're still the first of the one lap down cars, right?
Right.
And so I was so confused why we were put to the back of the field when we specifically chose to not pit to put us further up in the in the running order
Right.
of those one lap down cars. So I was pretty disappointed at that. It didn't make any sense to me, and nobody would give us an answer. Like, so I was going, tell me, like, what is the rule? Like, why would I be forced to back? Why am I now behind the 76, the 67, the 6? Like, like I lapped, like, what are you talking about? Like, it makes no sense for me to be put back there. They were on new tires. I just didn't understand it. So the restart happens, and I see immediately as I'm passing the start finish line, they're holding up a black flag, but they're pointing at the trucks behind me.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I didn't do anything wrong. So like, they're not pointing at me. It's someone definitely behind me, because like 100% did not do anything wrong on the restart. You know what I mean? I would specifically laid back thinking they're going to wreck each other in turn one. I started in third gear. I didn't even try to go. Like in my mind, I was just letting, because I knew I'd catch them because they'd all, bunch up and be fighting each other in turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 for that first lap. So like in my head, I know I didn't do anything wrong. And then they come on the radio and say that you got a drive-through penalty for a restart violation. And I lost it, because I 100% know that I should not have gotten a penalty for a restart violation because I didn't do anything wrong. But B, I shouldn't have been there to begin with, right? Mm-hmm. I should have been 10 trucks up. You know what I mean? Would have been a completely different situation. I wouldn't have laid back. I would have fought immediately. You know what I mean? Right. And so I was livid. So we have to do a drive-through penalty under green, which if you get a restart violation and it goes yellow, you just fall to the tail end. You don't even lose a lap. So it's such a huge penalty depending on like the situation, especially on a short track, right? So we basically go down another lap, but then the leaders are right behind me. So I immediately go down. So I'm now down 3 laps when realistically I should have been fighting for the lucky dog to go back onto the lead lap at the end of stage 1. Yeah. So yeah, I can say now in retrospect, I am furious at myself for allowing my emotions to get the best of me in that moment and pushing the button and complaining. You know what I mean? So like, that's one issue. I need to not do that. It doesn't help anything. I was just fighting my case for the fact that A, I didn't do a restart violation, but B, why were we moved to the back to begin with? There was things that I said that I don't need to say on the radio. I don't need to say it to anybody. I don't need to say it to my team, right? It's emotional, it's passion, it's feelings that I have internally that I'm letting, unfortunately, the world hear. But I just couldn't believe that I was in a situation again that I shouldn't have been in, not by our own doing. Right. You know what I mean? Right. And it's been a nightmare. It's honestly been a nightmare the last, I don't even know how many races it's been. It's just been so bad. You know what I mean? And I was really, really frustrated. So to tell you what happened post-race, I went to the NASCAR hauler. I didn't get called to the NASCAR hauler. I called them to the NASCAR hauler. And I go, you need to explain to me, A, why I was moved to the back when we were in the lucky dog position, and B, what was the restart violation? There's no way I got a restart violation, right? And Seth, the series director, he goes, 100%, you moved out of line before the line. You and 4 trucks, you guys all moved out of line. And I was like, in 31st position? Like, why would I do that? You know what I mean? Like, why would I risk anything when I'm in, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to, I'm trying to send it in 4 wide in turn 1. You know what I mean? A lap down? No, and he's, we'll pull up the video and we'll show you. So I go, the bigger issue I have, like, sure, it's going to be in black and white, if we got a restart violation or not, right? You can look at on the SMT, you can look at video, we can see that. But why was I moved to the back to begin with? And he goes, who said you were moved to the back? And I go, the officials were yelling at us that we had to go to the end of the field on that restart. We were one lap down. And he goes, that's not right. He goes, that is not right. He goes, let me look into it. So they listened to the audio, and the audio basically says the 33 had to be behind the 26, right? That's all it says. So where was the 26? I was behind the 26, right? There was confusion on the radio. The official went up to my spotter, Will, and said, get him to the back, like, cycle him to the back. So because you have to do it in that moment, we're coming out of turn 4, coming to the choose, either I don't do it, I don't listen, I take the choose, then they penalize her and stop scoring us, right? Or we do what they say and you try to fight and you try to, but then you're going green. It's not like it's a 1 minute long, mile and a half, of yellow to discuss it with them and figure it out. Like, it basically happens in a split second. So when all is said and done, he apologized. He came up to my entire team after that and he goes, we made a mistake. You should not have been moved to the back of the field. And it's like, but what can you do at that point? Because then we get a restart violation, which we probably wouldn't have had. And it ruined our entire race. Our race is over because of a missed call or a wrong call by NASCAR in that moment, right? So does it feel better to be proven right after the race? Well, sure, but it doesn't help the fact that we finished 29th because of that. You know what I mean? We could have been in the fight and all that. So they never pulled up the video for the restart violation. Still haven't sent it to us. They said they're going to send it, and I know why they haven't. We look on the SMT. We did it this morning on our team call, and there's no one out on my outside. I'm on the inside lane. There's no one on my outside, but I laid back 4 car lengths from the car in front of me, and I'm still on the inside lane. There's literally 15 feet between me and the wall, right? So it's not like I went to the inside. They're saying that I went out of line on the outside, but there's still a truck's width on my outside or more. You know what I mean? So we think that was the only car that was actually out of line was the 6 in that situation.
Right.
So it was just a bad judgment call. You can't fight it in the during the time. You have to pay the penalty, but it literally ruined our race. And all we got was hey, we're sorry, we'll be better, we'll try to be better with the communication, we don't know what happened there, but literally ruined our race. I don't expect them. I mean, what can they do, other than hopefully give me a cheater motor or something next week to make up for it? I mean, I need a bigger spacer or whatever it is, to give 100 more horsepower, Charlotte. It's sad. It's just kind of how our season unfortunately is gone. Like I said, it does feel better to know that, not that my rant was warranted, but I know we didn't do anything wrong and we shouldn't have been put to the back of the field when we were in the lucky dog position. So it was really, really frustrating. I had my rant, I calmed down, I put my head down and tried to just make good lap times, but I've unfortunately had so many races, due to things out of our control this year where I'm on an island by myself. Even if I'm on 1 lap down or 2 laps down and there's 3 or 4 guys that I'm still battling with, trying to get the lucky dog, whatever it may be, cool. But when you're the only car 4 laps down and then the next guy behind you is 3 further laps down, you just feel like you're on a Sunday drive. You know what I mean? It's not fun. You know what I mean? Because there's nothing that you can do to better your position. There really isn't anything you do. You just kind of finish the laps and hope to not cause any damage.
Yeah. So
which we did.
Yeah. So thank you for the explanation, because listening to it, obviously I heard you on the radio, but it was perplexing. Because I watched the replay of what happened, because they were showing it, Fox was showing it, and you look to be in that position like you're describing. So it's interesting to hear the apology, but it's NASCAR. So what are you going to do? I will say there was the point that Will said to you. What did he say? He said something along the lines of, you're not the first person this has happened to. And so I was sitting there thinking, no, he's not. It's not going to be the last. So now that I actually know the explanation, I still think you're not the first person that's happened to and not going to be the last, because that is
Yeah.
a penchant for.
I mean, I understand the rule. Look, in my entire racing career in stock cars, I've gotten one restart violation, and it was at Phoenix, which is very enticing because everyone, cuts down that shortcut. But you have to wait to the start finish line, and when you're behind 100 cars, you can't see the line. You know what I mean? You just are following wings. You know what I mean at that time. But I went, oh shoot, paid the penalty. Yep, I did, got it. But like that, I know that you can't do that. I had no advantage to trying to do it being a lap down. And you can see in the SMT, I'm 4 or 5 car lengths behind the truck in front of me to not get in the what I thought was going to be the shit in turn 1 and 2. As the race went on, people got more and more aggressive. I thought like the late model race on Friday night, had a 15 car pileup going into turn 1 on lap 1. Like I was kind of waiting for that thing and like, oh, this is maybe where I can get lucky and pass a bunch of guys. You know what I mean? And it didn't happen. But yeah, it was definitely frustrating. And like I said, I have to do a better job of controlling my emotions. It's a combination of the emotions of the last 2 months of racing. You know what I mean? It's been very, very hard to be put in these positions that are in our control. If I'm just slow, right? Like say that didn't happen. Say I got the lucky dog. Probably would have finished 2 laps down. I'm just saying based on speed, you know what I mean?
Right.
Two laps down, whatever. But I would have been fighting people the whole race and could have moved up positions, right? You don't know what would have happened. Maybe would have involved in a wreck. You have no idea to know what would have happened. But at least we would have had a chance to continue to fight. And that's all I want. You know what I mean? Like a Rockingham with the power steering thing and going 20 laps down or whatever it was. We didn't get the opportunity to fight. Like sure, you can go run laps but like, why are you going to like risk other people's races or your equipment when you're so many laps down? And it's been frustrating, but like I'm not giving up in any way, shape, or form. Like I don't, I'm super excited for this weekend in Charlotte. Like I think that we've shown, decent speed on the 1.5 miles. I mean, even Kansas last week, like we were pretty slow off the truck, like in practice and in qualifying, but we really made the truck a lot better throughout the race. But at that time, we kind of made that was the first one that was really on us as a team. Like we just had bad pit stops. Like we had 3 in a row and made 3 mistakes and put us a couple laps down. And, that's a whole different story, but we made the truck better. And I showed that I had speed, like towards the end of that, the end of that race. So I'm looking forward to Charlotte. Charlotte's an intense track, intense race. But I feel confident in the package that we have as a team on the intermediates.
Right. Last thing I want to talk to you about regarding that incident is just because I have started watching the show and I listen to the intro every time. At any point, do you ever think to yourself, life is unfair? I mean, honestly, because it's like, my God, there's so many things that are going against this guy. Life is unfair, which is like a theme for the show. So did that cross your mind at any point?
Well, I'll say this. When I met my wife in 2016, so almost 10 years ago, I warned her the day that we met because we immediately fell in love the second we saw each other, like honestly.
Okay.
And, maybe this is bad because like I'm putting it out into the world, but like I told her, I go, I'm just going to warn you, I'm very unlucky. I go, I've had an amazing life and I've been very fortunate at times. I go, but like, I'm very unlucky. She's like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. So after a few years of living with me and seeing, because this is like a common theme over the last 10 years. So I'm not saying woe is me because I consider myself very, very fortunate. She looked at me and she's like, you're cursed. You're cursed. Like things that just happened, like our whole house flooded, just like things that just like kept snowballing that should be very simple tasks, just somehow aren't very easy for me. So we ended up watching all the episodes of Malcolm in the Middle, I think in like 2017 or 2018. She'd never seen the show. Okay. And she looked at me at the very end of 151 episodes and she goes, you weren't acting at all. She's like, you are literally Malcolm. Like that is you, like and Malcolm kind of feels like the world is out to get him. Like he's paying back for something, you know what I mean? That happened. And now, I'm kind of joking. Like I said, sure. I've had an amazing, incredible life and I'm very, very fortunate the opportunities I've had, but it is a weird time where you just go like, you can't make some of this stuff up that's happening this season, you know what I mean? Or even last season or the end of the 23 season. So I just, I want to look back and go, man, I gave it my all. And unfortunately, right now, I haven't gotten to say that because I feel like we've been taken out of the races, not on our own, by our own doing or on merit and stuff like that. So I'm, the good thing is I have a really bad memory, right? So it's very easy. It's what, Monday? It was 2 days ago. I was in the race car.
Right.
I have no emotions or feelings from that race, and I'm focused on looking at S&T for Charlotte. I'm in my simulator here at home. I'm watching races from the past years to just take notes, and I'm ready to show up and do the best I can. And I just hope that we get to race without any of the extracurricular activities that are out of our control. I want to race. Like that's what I love to do, I'm but I'm going to do a better job for sure at controlling my emotions when things don't go our way, right? When things, even if it's out of our control, no matter what it is, even if I'm fighting with the decision that NASCAR makes, like I can do it in a more professional manner, and that's something that I've learned at Texas, and I learned now here after doing it again. So I'll be better on the radio. I'll be less animated, which maybe you won't like, but I'm going to be more professional.
I was just thinking that that's bad for me because the content is just golden, but I get it. I totally get it. And honestly, when I hear you, you can sense the frustration and the disappointment because I have followed your season closely. So I do know the circumstances that you have had to
Yeah.
deal with, not of your own doing, as you suggested. So, but again, when I hear you saying, "Oh my gosh, he's going to be more professional," I'm like, that's not good for me, but we'll make do. Okay.
I'll still be funny. I just won't, ask God why he's punishing me.
All right. So the last thing I wanted to talk to you about, Frankie, is so, the movie or the filming of the series is behind you. Do you feel a sense of, all right, that's behind me? I know you said earlier the two were separate, but now you can devote your energy to being a full-time racer and focusing on that. And even though it wasn't a distraction, we know for sure this won't be a distraction because now you're focused on your racing. So do you feel like that's something that you can look forward to?
Yeah, it's weird. I was gonna post something that was like, no more actor slash race car driver or race car driver slash actor, just race car driver now. And it does, feel easier in the sense that like I can just focus on that. Granted, I really need to focus on being a good husband and a good father as well.
Of course.
And now that I'm home in between the races, like, that is a priority as well. So
Right.
I think everyone has to balance those things. Maybe that's why there's so many race car drivers that are 17, 18, 19 years old. You know what I mean? Because like they
Right.
still live with mom and dad, they pay the bills, they, like they
Right.
cook the dinners, they do all the stuff. It is a lot simpler. But I'm excited the fact that we are only 10 races in. Like, sure, it feels like we've done so much, but we still have more than half of the season left. And
Right.
we can really turn it around and have a good, second half of the year. I can't announce it yet, but you'll be the first to know when I can. More racing's being added into the schedule, which is going to make it a little busier, but I think it's good. It's just going to keep my mind on being a race car driver and fulfilling my duties with Ford and all those things, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So, yeah, I really want a decent result for my team and for me, just to kind of reinvigorate that, like to make sure like all the time that we are putting into it
Right.
is worth it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
It's hard when you feel like everyone's just working so hard, and like, every time, you kind of leave kind of a little dejected, but that it doesn't stop the preparation, but you want to feel like that little bit of a win to go like, okay, this is why I'm dedicating so much time to it. You know what I mean? Like because this feeling that we have of like, accomplishing something amazing and being fast or whatever it may be, like this is why we do it. And I think we all need that on Reaume Brothers Racing for sure.
Of course. All right, buddy. Well, appreciate you taking the time to visit with me and just breaking down the race and talking about what happened, filming Malcolm in the Middle, and then what happened on Saturday and that first stage and being transparent as you always have been. So I really appreciate your candor. Wish you the best of luck this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and we'll talk to you next week for another recap.
Sounds good. See you next weekend.
All right. Thanks, buddy.